from. I am an investment advisor in the organization. Here is with me my co-worker, Tatiana Alfaro. She's also an investment advisor for Barranquilla. So first I want to just break the ice. I know you're visiting from Northeastern University, right? Which is based on Chicago. And you're all students from business administration, right? What semester are you in?
This is our spring semester.
Okay.
But in terms of my progression towards graduate,
Right.
I'm junior.
Okay. Junior is successful cases we always love to show. For example, we have the case of Jumio, which is a Silicon Valley company. They established here the last year identity verification center. So they are the ones who actually verify your identity in Airbnb. Every time you upload your personal document in Airbnb, so basically that comes to an identity verification center here in Barranquilla, and then pop up the answers for you. So actually that was a $5 million investment last year. We have Sykes, which is a BPO company. We Sykes provide all the technical support for Cisco worldwide. So we have that center of operation here. So they established here like 6 years ago with like $10 million of investment. So we will see later on that one of our first partner in crime for investment is United States and Canada, North America. Because of our strategic location, we have you as actually as our first partner for trade and commerce and export services, right? So let's define Barranquilla. It's very important to understand Barranquilla, where we are locally, like where we are worldwide, where we are located, right? So we are in the very north part of South America. We actually, let me just stand up and see if this works. Okay, hold on a second, and I will point it out. Okay, great. So we are here. This is we have in our east side a river that goes through Colombia, like in the middle. So as we can see, we have access to more than 300 ports around the world. That is the reason why we are so attractive for companies that have exports activities, because they will have access immediately to more than 300 ports around the world. And you will see that Barranquilla has one of the most important ports in Colombia and actually in South America. So we will see a lot of projects coming to Barranquilla, establishing manufacturing plants for what? Not to sell here, but to export, because of our strategic location. Another thing that is very convenient to us is that we have the same time zone as the east side of the United States. So why is that good for us? For example, many companies in the United States have production plants in China, but the time of delivery, the customer service support, it's not very convenient. So we have seen a lot of companies bringing their production plants from China to here. Of course, because of the tariff thing between US and China, that is something that South America is like taking advantage of. First, because we have free trade agreements with the United States, we have the same time zone, and we are like 2.5 hours away by airplane by the east side of the United States. So we because of this worldwide context, we see competitive advantage. If we compare ourselves to India, or if we can compare ourselves to China, that's very attractive for foreign investors. So we see that the population in the state of Atlántico is 2.5 million inhabitants, and Barranquilla is the capital city of the state of Atlántico. So we have 1.2 inhabitants in Barranquilla. Now, Barranquilla has a metropolitan area. What does that mean? that we have 4 municipalities surrounding the city that interacts economically with the city. That means people from these 4 municipalities comes to Barranquilla to study, and otherwise, people from Barranquilla goes to these 4 municipalities to work, and so on. So that is called the metropolitan area of Barranquilla. And adding up Barranquilla and the metropolitan area, we make up more than 60% of the whole state of Atlántico. And you can see we have 23 municipalities, and only 5 municipalities make up more than 60% of the whole state of Atlántico. Okay, so we're good so far? Okay. Our economic indicator are, we are the second state in the whole country to receive more foreign direct investment. That was an indicator as of 2016. We contribute 4.3% to the national GDP. That means we produce $8.1 billion. That was as of 2017. Now, I don't know how many know the Financial Times magazine from London. Right? So the Financial Times in London, they create this ranking to position states around the world, and they evaluate these states in economic potential, human resources, infrastructure, business friendliness, best FDI, best foreign direct investment strategy. And this is very important because these evaluate territories and their feasibility to attract more business to the state. So they create this ranking and they evaluate 171 countries around the world. So in 2018, we were the 4th state in the whole world to have the best foreign direct investment strategy, and we're in the top 10 positions within economic potential and business friendliness. So you will see how easy it is to generate business actually in Colombia, and of course because of our natural characteristic of location, you will see that it's very easy to do business in Barranquilla. It's very easy to have access to companies here. It's very easy to have access to the president of a company here. That is very important. Presidents of company here, they are very accessible people. So you can easily have access to them. So you can easily create like strategic partnership with them. They're very open. No? So in the past 8 years, we have received around $4.2 billion in investment, indirect investment to our territory. So what happens in Barranquilla, and this is why we have our performance has outstanding among other states of Colombia, is because we have a very diversified economy in Barranquilla. We do not depend on only one industry. As I will show you later on, we have different economic sectors that are very actively in times of recession or in times of not looking good. We actually it's like a balance, because we don't depend on only one industry. For example, other states only depend on tourism, other states only depend on oil and gas, but we have a very diversified economy in our city that I will show you later. So Barranquilla is part of the Colombian Caribbean coast. As we see, we are in the north, we are in the coast of Colombia, and the whole coast of Colombia is composed of 7 states, right? But Barranquilla is like the industrial, the business center for the whole Colombian Caribbean region. And what does that mean? That means I will go to Barranquilla to study. I will go to Barranquilla to get a medical procedure. I will get to Barranquilla to expand my business, because everything happens around Barranquilla. It has become like the capital of the whole Colombian Caribbean coast, right? So we have up to 10 years of exemption in taxes, such as industry and commerce and property tax. Every time a business establishes themselves in in Colombia, actually, you need to pay a tax that is called industry and commerce. That is just because you're operating, you pay that tax, and that tax is paid in every district, in every city. Every city has a different range of this tax, so we pay that and we pay property tax. But for companies within the industrial sectors that locate themselves in certain areas of the state of Atlántico, they receive up to 10 years of this tax exemption. So another good thing about Barranquilla, and that is why we have also become so attractive for foreign investors, is because we have reduced our poverty rate like for more than 50%. You see, like in 2003, we have a 49.5% of poverty. And in 2017, we could reduce it to 20%. Why? Because since 10 years ago, we started to have an administration that actually directs their investments towards education and towards the health system. So we can make the system more accessible, actually inclusive for everyone. So actually that investment in education allow people to get into the labor force of the state. So that's what like the methodology to reduce the poverty rate. Also, we have had continuity in our local administration. That means the projections that the mayor had 10 years ago continues to be the same. Like, it's not that another mayor came and dissolve everything we had before and start a new plan. No, we have had continuity in the business development plans for the state of Atlántico, and that is very important when we want to make our territory grow. We want to make sure our local administration follows a long-term strategy, right? So we have a non-employment rate of 8.6% during the last quarter in 2018. Actually, that was below the national level, which was 9-something% nation. And we have the state, the city of Barranquilla has a credit risk rating. I know you're familiar with that term. And I know you're familiar with the Fitch rating, which actually, that means that we have the resources to pay our debts, right? Any questions so far? Please, you can stop me in the middle of everything.
Supposing a foreign investor comes to the region, wants to set up a business, will that person get a permanent residency? Like in Dubai, if you set up a business in Dubai, you get permanent residency in Dubai. Do you have something similar to that?
We have working visas, we have investors visa, and for example, the residence process here is not that it's not that strict. You do not immediately get the residency, but if you first come as an investor and then you stay here for a period of time, then you are allowed to ask for residency, and it is not that it's not complicated at all. Actually, we love to receive people here. Yes.
Are there any unions for the workers, and do they get pension benefits in their employment?
We do have unions, but it's not very common in Colombia. Like, actually, we have a very stable system of payments to the workers. Actually, the tax laws and the labor force laws are very towards the employee. So you will see later on that we have a lot of incentives for workers. And that means maybe a higher payment rate for entrepreneurs. You will see that they have to pay you vacation, that they have to pay you pension funds, health, unemployment rate funds. So there's a lot of things that the employer has to cover when they establish a company, and that actually gives the employee very stability. So it's not very common that we have unions here. Maybe we can see that more in sectors like oil and gas, like mines and stuff like that. But commonly, like normal general business, we usually do not have unions. Yeah, that is not like a matter in Colombia. Okay? Okay, let's continue. So this is a map of our tax incentive in the state of Atlántico. So as I said earlier, for the industrial sector, we have some municipalities that offer tax incentives, so that's a way, of course, to attract foreign direct investment. Something really important to say is that in Colombia, that conversation with the public sector, because it's very easy to create new incentive. For example, we have a case last year, we are here, by the way. This is Barranquilla. This is the whole state of Atlántico. And these are the all 23 municipalities. So we are here, and we see some of the municipalities that have the incentive tax, the tax exemption for 10 years, and it's 100% tax incentive. And what I wanted to say is that, for example, last year in this municipality, actually that municipality didn't have any kind of big project in their territory. So no big plants there, no nothing there. So we received this metallurgic project from Argentina and Italian-Argentinian project, big project. So what Barranquilla did in that case, they didn't have incentive tax in Palmar de Varela. They have non-tax incentive. So we bring the investors to the local major, and we set up the table and we say, okay, this is a big project. You had nothing before. You will have a big company that will start hiring your people, that will start creating like supply chain like around the territory. So like it will bring dynamics to the territory. What are we gonna give to these investors? So they create a new tax incentive in that territory just because of that first project. Okay. So what I wanted to say is that the conversation is very easy. So we can create new programs. We can create a new tax incentive based on the potential of the project and the potential of the project to bring prosperity to a territory. So it's very few states that can actually to have that access to and get those kind of incentives, right? So that is something that Barranquilla do. We are like a bridge to the public sector. Okay.
How do you evaluate which projects go to which area or what factors are considered?
Okay. So when we receive an international project, okay, they usually come already with a decision to establish themselves in the state. So they tell us what are their requirements, electricity requirements, or human resource requirements. Based on all the characteristics that the investor gave to us, we present to them possibilities within the state. And we present like all possible options for them. So what we do is we create working agendas. So, okay, you decided to establish your business in Barranquilla, come to the city, and we are going to start an agenda in which we're going to show you real estate options, we're going to show you potential partners, we are going to present to you companies in the public services so you can identify how much your cost will be for public services. So we bring to them everything they need so they can have all the costs ready in their minds, right? So we contribute to present the companies to local companies so they can materialize the project, right?
I have a question. Do you specialize in certain industry sectors like manufacturing, information technology? Or
Yes, actually we have identified our like how is the local companies, how are they composed, right? So we have identified that we have a potential for the technology sector, the BPO sector, manufacturing sector, oil and gas sector, chemical and plastic, food and beverage. So I will show you in the trade, commerce, the different sectors that we have identified, right? But yes, we do specialize in some of the sectors that we have considered has the most potential to grow because we have the natural characteristics and the resources to offer everything they need, right?
Sure. And the reason I asked you that question is because now there is a trend, a shift away from outsourcing to what is called near sourcing.
Nearshore
Because you are
outsourcing.
close
Yeah.
enough to the United States and that you have the same time zone advantage.
Yeah.
So instead of basing a BPO in the States,
Right.
it can be based here. So
That's right. Actually, last year we have an employment growth rate of 10% within the BPO industry. We have 25 BPO companies here. Actually, I am the investment advisor for the BPO sector and the technology sector and services in general and hotel infrastructure. Actually, she's the investment advisor for the oil and gas sector, construction sector. So we are 3 investment advisors, and each investment advisor receives projects within certain sectors. So we receive all kind of projects, but we know what are the potentials of the state, right? So this is a graph showing actually that the Colombia Caribbean region represents 15% of the national GDP. And actually, the state of Atlántico recorded the highest growth in the region. So within the 7 states that compose the Colombia Caribbean region, the state of Atlántico is the one that outperformed the most. And that is because of our diversified economy and everything that I have just told you about, okay? And something very important is that we have seen a big growth, especially in the last 10 years, and that was especially because of the construction sector. We started to build new residential areas, we started to build new business centers, we started to build new logistic parks, free trade zones in the state of Atlántico. So that boom of construction actually made our state to outperform the others in the past 10 years. And that is a trend as well. Actually, if we have had that growth, I think from now on, I think we will have the double because of a lot of sectors and a lot of synergies that we are looking, that is happening in the state of Atlántico, right? Okay, so this is a graph showing our exports, export information, and we see that the first sector that represents the most exports in the state of Atlántico is chemical and plastic. So we produce a lot of fertilizer, insecticides, rodenticides from our state. We have big companies like Unifos, Monomeros. Actually, the plant of Bayer is established here in the state of Atlántico, and Bayer only has that line of fertilizers here in the state. So that is our main products for export. We actually have those production plants here. The second biggest sector that we export the most are food and beverage sectors. So we export a lot of animal oil, and what we do is we transform raw material and we export them. For example, horse meat, cow meat, we bring those animals from other states of Colombia, we process them here, and then we export them. So the state of Atlántico is like the process, like transformation process center to export products in the food and beverage company, right? And the third biggest export sectors that we have here is the metal sector. So we import raw material, we process them, and then we export them. And you will see that our first destination region for exporting is South America. Of course, we have Brazil, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Peru as our main destination exports. And then our second partner is United States. Then we have Asia, then we have Europe, and imports. We import most of our raw materials from United States. Actually, the second biggest imports were from machinery. So that actually shows that the industrial sector is growing in the state of Atlántico. It's the first time that we have imported the most machinery in the last 10 years. And that is because big industrial companies are buying their raw materials, equipment, and everything from the United States, right? So then we have, again, the third biggest imports that we have in the state of Atlántico is the chemical and plastic sector. Again, we import raw material, we process them here, and then we export, right? Those are the countries that we import the most: the United States, Europe, Asia, and South America.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Hope you don't mind me asking this.
No, it's okay.
This free trade agreement that you mentioned that Colombia has with the United States,
Right.
is that a bilateral agreement or is it a multilateral agreement? The reason I ask you this question is because President Trump is strongly opposed to multilateral trade agreements, and he prefers bilateral deals. So I just was curious to know what type of deal Colombia has with the US.
It's a bilateral deal.
Okay.
We with them, and then we have bilateral agreement. Yes. Actually, we spent like, I don't know how many years trying to define the whole free trade agreement, but it's completely bilateral. We have another kind of agreements with other countries, not with the United States yet, but we have double taxation avoiding agreements. Exactly. We have that with Canada, but not with the United States yet. And for your information, we actually we are sister cities with Tampa. Actually, we have always had commercial relationship with the United States. We have sister city with Tampa because Tampa has one of the most important ports in the United States, and we share like best practices, we share knowledge. That's what we do when we sign sister cities agreements. So we have a very strong relationship with the port of Tampa as well. So our relationship with the United States is like a long-lasting relationship from a long time ago. We have successfully finished the free trade agreement, in which it's a bilateral thing.
And
Yes.
is Colombia part of the TPP also, which President Trump pulled out from?
Well,
The Trans-Pacific Partnership, is Colombia part of that as well? Because President Trump pulled out of that agreement.
the Trans-Pacific.
Partnership, trade.
Yeah,
trade
that one.
agreement.
No, because that's the
That one
Pacific,
I'm not
Pacific
sure about.
boundary. We
Yeah,
are
but
only
like,
in the Atlantic.
I know, Peru and some other countries are
Yeah.
part of that, so that's why I was.
Yeah, that one I don't know.
I don't think
No,
no,
it's
it's we're on the Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the Pacific.
Okay. So let's continue. So these are some of the reasons that we, as an investment promotion agency, we identify are like our strengths for people and for companies to establish here. First thing is connectivity. And we have a whole spectrum of connectivity here. We are not the only city in the Colombian Caribbean coast to have a port. We have Santa Marta and Cartagena, which are like 1 hour away from us, that also have ports. So we complement our port offering by being very close to each other. So that's a potential, because you as a company, as an industrial company, you not only have access to our port, you have access to the port of Cartagena, to the port of Santa Marta, so we complement our offering, right? It's only 1 hour away each city, okay? So another important thing in connectivity is wireless connectivity. Colombia has 10 submarine cables that connect the country to the rest of the world. If for the ones who didn't know, for you to have internet and for you to upload and download documents in the internet, there's a whole map of submarine cables that are down in the ocean. So Colombia has 10 submarine cables connecting the country with the rest of the world. Actually, after Brazil, we are the most connected country in South America. The reason why Jumi established themselves last year here is because it was easy to connect by internet, or it was easier to send information from Colombia to India than India to India. It was faster, like the response rate for wireless connectivity. So that is very important. And 4 of those 10 submarine cables have their entrance through the state of Atlántico. So we have a whole infrastructure for telecommunication services. Actually, we are like the headquarters for 3 of the main companies in South America, which are GlobeNet, CNW Networks, and IFX Network. What does that mean for companies? You have access to lower service costs for telecommunication, because the big companies are here and they own their own infrastructure. It's not that they are lending it from other companies. What happens in the Caribbean islands? They don't have their own fiber optic infrastructure, so they have to lend it and pay higher prices for that, right? And we have air connectivity. We have direct connectivity to Miami and to Panama City, which are the most important airport hubs in America. And we are 1 hour away from Cartagena, which has more direct access, more direct connections to other countries in Europe. And we are 1 hour away from Bogota, which has around like 6,000 frequency per week, right? I just wanted to show you some connectivity projects that we will have in our territory. This is a project that we are managed to materialize here. As I told you, we are a port city, and we have this project which is called Deep Water Port Project. What that means is we want to make the depth, the deep of our Caribbean Sea like deeper, so we can receive higher ships to our city and increase our capacity to export and import, right? So we want to become that logistic hubs, that port hub in the whole Latin America, right? So it's we want to make this port 20 meters of depth. It's a $807 million investment. Local government is already working with firms in Europe to actually materialize this project. So that allows us to increase our export and import capacity and to become a hub in the whole America, right? So this is another connectivity project that we have here for the Colombian Caribbean region. Let me explain you something. Barranquilla is in the middle of Cartagena and Santa Marta, right? So we want to make a train that connects the whole three cities, because we interact as well economically. A lot of companies here have some processes in Cartagena, while a lot of companies in Cartagena have some processes in Santa Marta. So we wanna be more efficient for companies, right? And we wanna be more efficient for people traveling and to do tourism. So we have this project. It's at 230 kilometers, and it's going to connect these three cities, and that will allow to mobilize 100,000 passengers per day, and the commute time will be 40 minutes. So it will kind of like reduce the commute time and be more efficient for companies that have processes in the three cities, right? This is another connectivity project that we have, and this the whole reconstruction of the airport. As you noticed when you came, you notice a kind of a mess in the airport, and that is because we are rebuilding the airport because we want to increase our capacity for passengers to 8 million passengers per year. Last year we had, in average, we have had like 2 million passengers per year. So we want to increase that to 8 million so we can be more competitive. Airport connectivity is very important for competitiveness. If you want to make your territory competitive, you want to make sure you can connect it with the more possible destinations. Because a lot of times we have received comments like, I established myself in Bogota because I have direct flights to Bogota and not to Barranquilla. So those are the things that we want to improve in our territory. So we will have that finished by 2022, I believe, right? Okay, so that's $136 million investments that we're having in our airport. You had a question?
Yes, what city is your nearest competitor?
I think, okay, this is what happens with Colombia. We have different regions in the country, and we are completely different regions. Like, if you're in the coast, you will find a different weather, a different kind of accent, a different kind of doing business, a different kind of natural characteristics. So my potential, it won't be the same as the one that Bogota has, which is in the middle of the country, has another weather, has another like soil, another land. So our
The natural resources. resources?
Yeah, like the natural resources are so different that we compete with different things. Like we actually not that competitive because we are kind of like different in all possible ways.
Okay.
So actually we can make competition between cities in the Colombian Caribbean region more than we have competition with cities in the center of the country because we have more similarities, right? So if you travel to Bogota, you will see a different access, different weather, different soil, different land. So you will see that cannot grow here because of the weather. So it's a completely different offer that they have for investors. So that is very important to know. Yes, very good.
I'd like to extend Trudy's question. There is a lot of competition among emerging markets for foreign direct investment.
Yeah.
Which are the countries do you see as the principal competitors for what you're trying to do?
Okay, there are different like categories in which we compete. So every sector has their own country competition, right?
BPO
For example, BPO, we see Costa Rica used to be a big competitor because they are 100% bilingual people. So you know that's very important in order to serve international markets like United States. So they have full availability of bilingual people. So, but now they have had so many BPO companies that they have
A glut.
yes, the human resource availability. So then we are becoming more attractive to them. Actually, we are the second most bilingual city in Colombia after Bogota. Connectivity is another reason, in another aspect in which we compete. Maybe you have more bilingualism in other countries, but you don't have the needed or the requested connectivity or the needed connectivity that you may have for your business. So in the BPO industry, the connectivity is crucial. And we are located in a zone in which we have low risk for hurricanes and earthquakes. Something that the Caribbean doesn't have. For example, in the past 100 years, we have had like only 3 major events. Compared to the Caribbean island, they have had more than 10 events in a period of more than 100 years. So there are different characteristics. Costa Rica is a competitor. I will say Argentina is a competitor, especially in outsourcing technology services. They're very well educated in the area, in the program. So
Depends on the industry.
yes, yeah, it depends on the industry. But in the BPO, yes, we have Costa Rica, we have Panama, we have Argentina, definitely.
Now, since you said you're handling the BPO sector, what do you see as the trend in this sector? Because the reason I'm asking you is, if you take the case of India as an example, originally the call center started in a big way in India.
Yes.
But now the call centers have migrated
To Latin America. Yes.
And Philippines.
Yes,
Most of
right.
the calls are now taken in Manila or somewhere,
Right.
So what India has done is scaled up and gone into knowledge process outsourcing.
And we as
So-
well, we have scaled up to knowledge process outsourcing. Actually, we have different activities that we support from here. Software development, digital transformation, data mining, like we have countless activities that we do from here. And yet we have seen that migration of companies from India to Colombia, especially. One thing is the accent, another thing is the nearshore solution, the 2 hours away that we are from the United States, the easily respond, the connectivity, it's like the facility to resolve an issue. It's better if you have your nearshore solution in somewhere in Latin America. So in terms of security, in terms of connectivity, in terms of infrastructure, I think Colombia is well positioned in Latin America.
And you have one more advantage because in the United States, Spanish is the fastest growing language.
Right, so a lot of companies are like outsourcing their Spanish speaking processes in here. Another thing that we are seeing in BPO is telemedicine. A lot of companies hiring specialized doctors from here to maybe give you like an advice or something through a web platform or a mobile platform. So that's how the industry is growing, and that's where we are going to. Actually, everything will be web-based, app-based. So even in the health sector, we are receive those kind of projects here. Actually, last year we received a couple of projects for telemedicine. So that is something very interesting. Okay, so this is a graph showing our human resource availability. So we will see that people here in the state of Atlántico tend to graduate from three main programs. First, business administration, economics, accounting. Second, we see that people here tend to graduate from engineering, urbanism, architecture. And in the third place, we see that we have a lot of graduates in the health sector. So I don't want to take a lot of time in here, but just for you know. And this is a graph showing actually our industrial corridors. Let me stand up here a little bit. So this is Barranquilla. This is Barranquilla, and we have built some industrial corridors that are sometimes a little bit outside Barranquilla. So we see that all the free trade zones that we have are a little bit outside of the city. Right? So we have 4 permanent free trade zones, 19 industrial parks. The industrial park, yes, we have it within the city, but the free trade zone, we tend to have it outside, and they have an industrial orientation. All the free trade zones that we have here, they basically serve companies within the industrial sector, like manufacturing plants and so on. We have 4 public port terminals, and here we will show you like a graph showing where are the business centers located in the city. So we see that the whole 20 business centers that we have available for services company are located in the north of the city. We have actually have this new kind of office renting, new business model, which are the co-working spaces. Are you familiar with the co-working spaces? Like Rigas, WeWork. So we see that a lot of companies like these are coming to Barranquilla, and that is because they have seen that we have a lot of startups, that we have a well startup ecosystem in the state of Atlántico. Okay. So in terms of quality of life, this is a perception survey that we do every year to citizens. So last year we see that 76% of citizens perceive that Barranquilla is on the right track. Like 10 years ago, you would ask a citizen from Barranquilla how satisfied you feel with your city, and it was like minus 10%. Because they didn't perceive that the local administration was actually doing something. But right now, actually, they have seen the construction, the new urban areas, like more business coming up, and the support of the local government in making the companies to grow and to establish here. So they have perceived that, and they now